Hello, everyone. I'm Howard Weiss. It's no secret there's a personnel shortage in the HVAC industry. This shortage affects everyone working in the industry, no matter your role. Whether you're a manufacturer, wholesaler, contractor, teacher, or other professional, you've likely had to address this at some point. The issue of how do you find well-qualified individuals to help you meet your organization's goals. This begs the question, where does this talent pool exist? Today, I'm going to speak with some HVAC professionals who are part of an underrepresented demographic in our industry, women. While they represent almost 51% of the US population, women only represent 1.5% of our workforce. To truly solve the HVAC workforce shortage, industry recruitment initiatives cannot afford to ignore half the population. Joining me today are Angie Snow, Erica Leonor, and Sarah Hammond, all successful professionals in the industry. They're also all members of Women in HVACR. Ladies, thank you very much for joining me. I'd like to begin by asking each of you, tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the HVAC industry.
I'll start. Hi, everyone. My name is Angie Snow. Thank you for having us, Howard. Such an honor to be able to be here and share some of our experiences and hopefully some wisdom to help us as we're trying to help this shortage in our job force here. I have been a heating and air conditioning contractor for the last 15 years with my husband. We have a company here in Utah called Western Heating and Air Conditioning. It's been a lot of fun growing our company from a very small company to a larger company now, and the exciting part is we're still going. It's so fun to see how this industry's evolved over the last several years, and just the being able to bring women into my company has been a big part of our success, I believe. So very excited for this industry in the future.
Angie's so awesome. And I also live in Utah, so I have the privilege of living just a little ways away from Angie. And so my name's Erica, and I am actually in the industry as a customer service and sales trainer and consultant for contracting businesses. And so I love to help men and women alike understand that customer service and the customer experience is a big part of being successful in this industry. As you are going out into people's homes, you're entering their private and space, and it's really important to leave a great impression. And so I love helping contractors do that, and as well as manufacturing and distribution. There's so many roles in the industry, and I know we'll talk about some today of different ways to become involved, but there's a limitless amount of opportunities for women in this industry.
Hi, and I'm Sarah, and I'm from Texas. I am president of my company. It is an electrical, air conditioning, refrigeration, and plumbing business. My father started it, I don't know, 39 years ago now. And I've been running it I've been president since 2012. So it's been some time. We've developed it in the community, and I love it. I love working in the HVAC industry. I love the technical side. I love talking to the technicians. I understand the lingo. A lot of times I've gotten stuff like, I want to speak to the man in charge, and well, you're speaking to him. Just so much that has happened to me in this industry, but I love it. And I think any woman who wants to, try something out should just go for it, because you can find so much passion in the HVAC industry.
That's great. I'd like to point out that all three of you pointed out, none of you are driving a truck. The industry is so much bigger than people perceive. I try and remind people, COVID-19 was probably the best example of how did we keep servers running? What's an ICU room? How did we transport vaccines at 58 degrees below zero? All these things were opportunities to show the industry is much bigger than people think, and the opportunities for people out there much larger than they may think. I'd like to begin by asking you a question. Why don't more women consider an opportunity in the HVAC industry as a career?
Well, I'll start with that one. I didn't even know what HVAC was, up until, I don't know, 7 years ago. And so I didn't grow up, with my dad teaching me really anything, bless his heart. And he just kind of took control of the house. And so I didn't know how to do a thermostat. I didn't know water heaters. I didn't really know anything. And so For me, the world wasn't even there. Like my house just cooled down. That's all that I really knew. And so I think that my experience is probably similar to many young women growing up. Like it's just one of those things you don't think about. And somebody else always takes care of it. And so I was introduced to a whole world and understanding, like, especially when I bought my first home that I live in now, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have to learn these things. I have to take care of things. Like this stuff really matters. And so I've definitely learned a lot these past years about the industry and the importance of heating and air conditioning. And so I think that's one of the reasons why they don't get into industry is just we don't know.
I have a story to share in that when I was growing up, we've had this company forever, and my father, I would cry with him and I would be like, I want to go work with you. He would take my older brother and they would come home all dirty, and I'd be like, I want to go see what that's about. Take me. And he'd be like, no, you stay at home with your mom and help her in the kitchen and help her clean the house. And that's how I was raised, to stay at home and clean the kitchen. And that wasn't a job for me. And that's coming from my own father. Of course, speeding forward, it's obviously changed, but that was the norm for a household, especially with the culture, the Hispanic culture. Girls just don't do that. It's not a job for you.
Yeah, and I would just kind of echo, I don't think any little girl wakes up and says, when I grow up, I want to be an HVAC lady. It's just not something that is like talked about as young girls. And so for me, when I was introduced into the industry, this was my husband's passion. He had already been in the industry for 10 years and was venturing out to buy his own company and needed my assistance in running it. And so in my mind, I was like, well, am I qualified to do this? Like, I don't really have the technical or HVAC background experience, but I knew enough about business and numbers and accounting and how to do those type of things and run the business side, which is where women come in. It seems like most women, that's where they step in, or that's what the typical stereotype. Well, we'll have a woman run the books for us. It's more than that. It's more than just running the books. There's so much behind running a successful contracting business. And so that was when my eyes opened, and that's when I fell in love with the industry. So I think it's showing the different ways that you can get involved in the industry from a technical standpoint, from a business standpoint, manufacturing, engineering, designing the equipment. The women that we've met as we've been members of Women in HVACR come from all of these diverse backgrounds and have different opportunities to serve and develop in this industry. And I think that's what's so exciting is the opportunity there, and how do we let more young girls know about the variety of opportunities at a younger age so that we can have these conversations earlier than when we just all of a sudden get married into it or have an opportunity or a door open. Like, let's be more intentional about getting young women involved.
That's great. Well, you've all pointed up some social stigmas possibly in getting in the industry. So what are the stigmas? How do we address some of them?
Well, one of the things that Women in HVAC does, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, Angie, but one of the things that Women in HVAC does is we have an ambassador program where we ask women to sign up and to go out and speak to the different schools, colleges, to high schools. I know that we create a platform so that they already have an opportunity, a PowerPoint that already has all the detail that shows the impressions of the different jobs that are available for young women in these fields. And so we share all of this together. And that's why Women in HVAC is so important as an organization, because we become the spokespeople to change that stigma.
Well, I think one of the things Women in HVAC does is it provides, we could talk about your mentoring program a little further down, but it provides evidence that there are successful people in this industry and role models that young women can follow. So let's start here. Are there misconceptions about women in the HVAC industry? I always hear, oh, women can't be part of the HVAC industry. There's a lot of lifting, which I say is untrue. You could do anything anyone else can. I also think the industry is a lot bigger, as I mentioned, than people think. Sales, management, mechanical engineers. We could spend hours just talking about all the career paths. So what are some of the misconceptions women need to be aware of when they're thinking about the HVAC industry?
I think I hired my first female technician 10 years ago. And when I brought her into my company, I had a lot of, she's never going to make it. She's a tiny girl. She's tiny. She's not going to be able to help do the, carry the equipment. And the men in my company really pushed her and really didn't believe in her and didn't support her. And so I think she was able to push through that and to prove herself and to prove how strong she was. And she's still with me today as one of my top salespeople. But she had to overcome that. And she was almost a trailblazer in my area. None of my competitors had hired women yet. And I think she might have been a little bit of a joke, like, oh, look at that company, they have a woman. But once they saw what she was doing and how she was able to connect with my customers in a way that some of my male technicians weren't able to, it was like all of a sudden they started trying to recruit her from me and they started looking for other women. And I think we just need to show that women can do this and give them an opportunity, talk about it, make that part of normal conversation, and have those examples. Put your women in your marketing. Show female technicians actually working on things. Show that this is not just a man's world. And we can do this in our schools as instructors. The material that you're using, use women doing it as well. Women in HVACR, we have a lot of great resources and images and things that you can use for your marketing as well to help you with that, if that's something that you're looking for.
That's ironic because almost every brochure I pick up or in a school or look at their website, it's a male-dominated industry.
It's a man.
Usually showing a man between 18 and 22 on top of it. So it's great. You can't picture yourself in a job if you don't show it. So
Right.
Ladies, are there I'd love to hear from Sarah. And what do you think about why some women should consider HVAC industry as a career?
So I was asked to speak at a Boys and Girls Club to the young females, and they do a presentation. So they bring in all these people to speak, right? And I was one of the speakers. They brought in a judge, they brought in an attorney, they brought in a doctor, and then they brought in me. And everybody's talking about this great industry, what they're doing, and how being a doctor and being an attorney and all these things that they're trying to inspire these children to be. And I go up and I'm like, I own an air conditioning company, right? And the girls were just looking at me. You could see their faces like what? And I had to explain a little bit about it, but it's just not what we're taught to do. And so when I explained about how much fun and what I liked about it, that you could be outside in the field or you could be inside just gave all these different things, opportunities that they could have, they were like, girls do that? And so it was just a very different feeling to see these little 8 to 12-year-olds completely clueless to the fact that, yes, girls can do that too. We are technical. We are very good with our hands. We're very detailed oriented. If you hone in on those skills, you can be one of the greatest technicians alive. So, there's just so much opportunity. And we don't talk to our girls enough about differences and change. We just don't.
Well, and I think too, along with that, Sarah, is understanding it's a very lucrative industry. You can make a lot of money and you don't have to have $250,000 worth of college debt either. And I know people have talked about that a lot. You don't have to go to college, go to a trade school, but it's 100% true. 100% true to go to a trade school if you want to get into engineering or mechanical or HVAC or even plumbing or whatever. Go into a trade. You're not going to have all the debt and you're going to start out making a lot of money. At 18, 19, 20 years old, you're going to be making more than your parents probably, because there's so much opportunity there. And so and along with what Angie and Sarah said, it's fun. There's so much good things that we could do. And to be honest, I love being a woman in this industry because there's so many opportunities. And, I know we've probably all heard this before, and Mike Rowe talks about this of work harder or work smarter, not harder. But he says no, it is hard work. It is hard work, but it's smart work and you can get so much out of it. And so I think just along with what everyone has said, is we got to teach people in our homes as parents, as teachers, as instructors, starting young, and teach people how to use a thermostat, teach people how to change a filter, those basic things, so that it's actually a world to people rather than just something that happens in their home.
Well, and Erica, you bring up something that we don't talk about enough, is the opportunity in this industry. I tell people, I know a lot of people make over 6 figures a year in this industry.
Oh yeah.
And all they look at as someone who went to a school for 1 or 2 years, what they're making right away. I always say, take 2 18-year-olds, look at them when they're 28. How much college debt do they have? How much are they making? You're going to find the vast majority of times that the person who went to the skilled trades industry like HVAC is not only making more, but doesn't have that debt. And then there's so many opportunities in this industry. Everyone just thinks of the person who showed up at their house. They don't think of, like I mentioned, an ice hockey rink, a hospital, a laboratory. This industry is massive. So speaking of that, what are some of the opportunities you feel are available in this industry?
Well, in our PowerPoint that we have, and as the ambassador speakers, we talk about you can be in the distribution area. You can work in distribution, which means you can work in a warehouse, composing equipment, making it, building it, putting it together. You could work in the manufacturer's department. You could do sales, you could do marketing. There's just so much in HVAC. And because women have a different mind, we love men and they're great, but women have a different way of thinking. And so if you combine the two together, you can make some really good changes. You can make some really good marketing opportunities, some great tips, some great trade work. You can change the way equipment is manufactured, and so it's just really important to get the woman's point of view into all of these different possible scalable jobs, and not just being a technician, but being part of the sales, being part of the trade, being just being involved in HVAC. It's a beautiful organization, industry.
It really is. And I met a gentleman who, he was in the military, and in the military they taught him HVAC. So he was their HVAC person for all their airplanes, for their embassies, for their military bases, taking care of all those things. And we also have one of our partners at Women in HVACR that they do humanitarian ships, and they have a ship that travels across the Atlantic Ocean to different countries, and they need people on those ships to run the ship, and mechanical and HVAC and all of that. And so it's, there's so many opportunities there. Like if you wanted to travel, or if you wanted help to pay for school, there's so many places out there that do free school even, and they help place you in jobs, that they help look for you, because this industry needs more people. And so there's so many resources out there, scholarships, all kinds of stuff.
Not just in HVAC, but also in plumbing. My master plumber is a female. And when I first brought her in, some of the technicians, the men were like, my wife isn't going to let me ride in a van with her. And we had to break that type of thinking. Cops are male and female, and they're in the same vehicle. I don't see what the problem is. This is your job. This is what you're getting paid to do. And so it's just having open conversation with people, and even families, even their families. I had 3 students that wanted to work in the HVAC field, and I had gone to recruit them, and the parents didn't want them to work in the HVAC field. So they didn't allow them to start working with me. Now I have 3 more students that are coming in from high school that I talk to them, and I talk to their parents. And they started yesterday, as of June 1st. They started as of June 1st. And so they're working with us now. And it's going out to the schools and talking to as many people as possible.
Well, I'd like to talk about something that I know all 3 of you are very passionate about. What is Women in HVACR? And what kind of resources do you have to help others, like teachers at schools, for recruiting women into the HVAC industry?
First and foremost, we have our scholarship program. So if you have girls, females that want to go to school, or that maybe they've been in school for a year and they need some financial help, we're giving away $5,000 scholarships. We're giving away 6 of them this year. to help girls in this industry. And so that's one of the things that we're very passionate about is going through. And I know Sarah is actually in charge of our scholarship program this year, and she does a great job of going through those applications, meeting these students. And it's such a pleasure for us to be able to help and serve in that way.
Another big part of our initiative and what we're here to do is to provide a place for women in the industry to come together and to network and to make relationships. I often felt very alone when I would go to industry events and I would be the only woman in the room, and I felt like, am I in the right place? What am I doing here? And it's very often it can feel lonely. And so once I became part of this group and was able to start making more connections, I found women who totally understood my day-to-day and what I was going through and how I felt. And we had a place to come together and share ideas and network and grow and become stronger as women and feel more confident in who we are and what we're doing. So I love the networking aspect of women in HVACR.
I have to piggyback on what Angie said. Some of my closest relationships are with the women in HVAC. The board and themselves, I love our board. It's beautiful to feel included, like they get me. I can go to somebody and I have a question or I have a problem. They're going to be the first ones that I reach out to just because they understand what I'm going through. And they can probably give me better advice, which is another part of our program. We have mentors and mentees. And so we have a system where you become a member. You ask that you want to be mentored by somebody, you ask specifically what you're looking for, and then we try to partner you up with somebody who can help you and guide you and, you know, get you that information and that closeness and that unity. And so we've been doing that for quite a few years already, and we have quite a good group of mentor mentees. So Women in HVAC does so much. You need to become a member. I mean, we have males that are members too. So they can become members and join our organization and our group and give us that support, because, you know, we refer to the men as well, you know, for a lot of different questions and opportunities that may be out there.
So Sarah, can we talk a little bit about your mentoring program? So let's say I'm at a school, you know, is the mentor someone local, or is it somewhere are they geographically, are they close to that person where they can connect, or is it more done online?
It's mostly done online, so that they can have that opportunity to talk and converse and stuff. I'm sure that if somebody asked if there was anybody local, they would try to match them up, you know, at that point. But for the most part, they're matching them with somebody who can help them in their specific request. So if, like, I'm a contractor, I would want to be matched with another contractor who maybe has been doing that for a lot longer, so that I can get some tips. I want to know, you know, do's and don'ts, or I might have some questions that I would ask for that contractor to do. We have wholesale distributors, some women that are presidents of, you know, manufacturing companies, and they, you know, they help other women that are in manufacturing companies so that they can help them progress up the line in their industry. So it's basically a lot done online, but we can look into local closeness if it's asked for.
No, when I ask, because when I talk to people about women in HVACR, I think what teachers need to realize, it's not just an organization that can provide you images and scholarships. I think your single greatest asset is providing someone who's already successful in the trade as a match to help mentor that person. And I think that's not put out there enough. So instructors, anyone who's watching this, that mentoring program is a powerful tool to help young women in your program be successful.
And that's part of the reason why we do the ambassador thing, because we ask for women that are in their local areas to become spokespeople to the schools, so that those teachers and, you know, those people that are training the students out there have access to somebody that can go and inspire. Like, for example, in my area, I just went to speak to Sherryland High School. And I got 3 young men, and I also got 1 female who wants to be a plumber come in and join the business, but because I'm that spokesperson for my area industry. And so we ask for women that are, you know, part of being in HVAC to help us and become those ambassadors, because we need as many as possible. We need the whole United States. We need them in all areas.
What other resources does Women in HVACR have? You mentioned, I think it was Erica, you mentioned images. Are there other tools to help? I guess what I'm saying is, if I look at the average website, average brochure, it's pretty poor in terms of representing why women should enter the trade? Are there resources to help them spruce up their marketing material to better target young women as a career opportunity in HVAC?
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually have a really great video as well of showcasing a female. It's to one of the songs from The Greatest Showman. So we all love Greatest Showman, but it's very motivational and very inspiring to see like how a woman can go through school, can go into the field, and how she can get involved in the industry. And that's right there on our website as well, of just watching that and see like, yeah, this is possible for me to do this too. And so we have videos. Yes, we have the images, but we also have resources. So like if, for example, women sometimes don't know where to go to buy boots or clothing or uniforms, and you don't want to look like just some marshmallow man kind of thing, And so for me, like, I want to look cute, even if I'm doing a hard job. And so we definitely know people who have, work boots that are actually female styles, and they're really cute. And we know people that do safety gear for women. And so there are those resources out there for women for sure that we're able to put you in touch with and help you find so that, you can be successful in whatever role you're going to be in.
That's great.
Another great thing is that, like Angie mentioned earlier, our conferences, we have the photos of all of our conference people. We have our board listed up there so that they can get in contact with somebody from the board. And so there's just great opportunities on our website. There's a lot of information and a lot of partners, a lot of people that want to do more. Like even in our scholarships, some of our partners give out, or some of our sponsors give out tools. So we provide tools to our scholarship winners as well, so that they can further their career in the HVAC.
And I think one of the ways that we're really trying to support students is we give students a complimentary membership to our organization. This is a student membership where they have access to all of these resources. So they can start their education with some advantages and extra tools in their toolbox that they may not even know that they needed, and that I think will really help them start on the right foot and have a successful education and career.
Angie, is that a membership for anyone in school? Does it require high school, post-secondary, apprenticeship? Is there any special requirements?
That's a good question. Do either of you know, Erica or Sarah? I believe it's for our trade school young women, but I don't know why we would limit it there. So
Okay.
definitely a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if any student is interested, just reach out to us, and so we can get the information and verify and make sure that, whatever we need to have documented, we'll do. And because we want to give those away. So, ask us and we'll help.
Well, I think the thing is that all four of us here, we know there's a great industry. It can't be exported, automated. We're not going to be outsourced. But the real question is, what can we do together collectively as an industry? And I'm talking mostly to instructors who are going to watch this. What can we do collectively to promote the industry to women? So if you can get the version of yourself that didn't know anything about this industry and change that perception, what would you do differently what should these instructors know?
I can start with that based on how I grew up. My father telling me that this, that this wasn't a job for me, and stay at home. With my daughters, I take them to work. They see what we do. The other day there was an issue in the house with plumbing, and I had them help me fix it. There's an HVAC technician that comes in, and I show them, look, this is what an AC looks like. This is, what we have to do. We have to keep this clean. I do commercials, and so I have my girls in the videos with my commercials on TV because they need to understand what this is all part of it. And I give out tips, and so they're listening to the tips. And so sometimes they'll come out and they'll make little comments like, "Oh, Mom, I think the AC is making a noise. I think it's time to change the filter," and like little things like that. And so having open conversation at home is one big way to change the dynamic.
Yeah.
I think the question is, when you really think about instructors, a lot of them, they don't even make an attempt to recruit to women because they're not quite sure how to engage in that conversation. And I think the problem is we need to just treat people as people and say, here's a great industry, great opportunity, not get in our head, there's gender roles, and start talking about the big picture of how big this industry is. And where you go is really up to you. Once you're out of school, your education doesn't end when you graduate. That's when it really starts. And how far you take it's up to you. I'm sorry, you were going to say something, Angie?
Oh, I think Erica was, but I do have a comment now after Erica. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just going to think of one thing, like what not to do as an instructor is, and I have seen this, is a lot of times when you're hitting a class or, you're teaching, or sometimes even at work, sometimes people will say, well, like if the girl can do it, why can't you do it? And it's like almost in a way of setting the bar kind of low. Like, well, if Erica can do it, look, the girl's doing it. The girl was the highest performer this month. What's wrong with you guys? Or, hey, the girl got an A+. What's wrong with you guys? It really kind of diminishes like what? So, you know what I mean? So I would say definitely stay away from that language and never just like call a girl out in that way and say, come on, you guys, you have to do as good as the girl's doing. I think we need to hold everyone to that same high performance standard, regardless of gender, like you said, Howard. And so just be careful with that language. And that's one of the things I would recommend not to do. And just to build everybody up and say, hey, Erica, you got an A+, Bob, you got an A+, Howard, you got an A+, congratulations, and not make it so it has to be the difference.
Yeah, my comment is just very similar to that. It's about clearing your assumptions. It's very easy to go in with an assumption, and we all may have some unconscious bias toward women in the industry. Like I don't know what that is, but my advice to instructors would just be to clear those assumptions. Assume the best in people. Assume that everyone can perform at that high level and treat them in such a manner. It's so much about the delivery method and the language and how you're presenting the situation. So clear any assumption that a woman can't do this job. And that would be my advice.
Well, one thing I think we could put out there that would be helpful to recruit more women to the industry is we need more female instructors in the programs too. So
Yeah.
that we need a mentoring program to help more women see that they can become an instructor. Instructors, it's going to make a big difference. So I'd like to just say this. I know we could talk for 5 hours. Let's really hit some things. What can we do better to help everybody? If you have some closing comments, what can we do better to help everyone understand the opportunities for women and to recruit them in the industry?
Well, one of the things that I do is I serve on advisory boards for the colleges. So the technical schools that we have down here, there's 3 or 4 of them, and I serve on 3 of the boards for those technical schools. I think it's important that they have a female on the advisory board. It's important to get in front of the schools and the colleges and have communication and to put in input. So I would highly recommend, if you're a female and you're in the HVAC industry, go look into your technical schools and go try to serve as an advisory board member to those technical trades.
That's great, because schools are supposed to have an advisory board meeting twice a year. It's a great opportunity to network with others while also helping the industry move forward. Thank you.
I would encourage, like we talked about earlier, add more women to your materials, your teaching materials. Have pictures of women working on equipment. Talk about women. Be very inviting. Stop the stigma and start a conversation. When you can open the doors, invite your students. Do you have female friends? We need more females in this industry. Let's go help, invite students to recruit their female friends and male friends. We need everyone in this industry. We are not picky at all. There's definitely a shortage coming up and we need everyone. But talk about women, invite them, create an environment that is inviting to women as well. So your physical surroundings, make sure that there's a women's bathroom, make sure that there is, all of those things. If there's not a women's bathroom, I am not going to your school. So, things like that, what would make your environment more inviting to women so that they would feel comfortable there and feel part of that, environment? That would be a couple of great ways to start.
And I think too, something we can do better, I love everything that's been said, of just talking to women as well about, the opportunities to grow. And sometimes people think, oh, if you're a woman, then you are going to eventually have kids and you're not going to be able to perform and you're going to have to be that family mom and everything. And that, if we could still have that as part of the conversation, like, hey, women, when you go into this industry, you bring so much value. You can still have a family. You can still have kids. It's not going to, and so many people are like scared to even start a family. I was one of those. I didn't want to start a family because I was like, what is this going to do for my career? I'm not going to be able to do it the same way. And it's different, but I can still do it. And so just to let women know, like, hey, you're not going to be shut down because you're a woman. And if you are, like, here's how you fight for yourself. And that's one of the things that we like to do at Women HVACR is we want to help women see their worth, that, hey, we all go through it as women. We all go through families. We all go through childbirth. We all go through growing and careers and opportunities. And I think just having those people that are on your side to support you, male and female, like, clearing all those assumptions, as Angie said, I think that's going to be a big thing that we can do better as an industry.
So what's a website? So Women in HVACR is a great organization. There's a lot they can do. Where can everyone find some information?
Well, one last thing that I wanted to share as well, just to add, Howard, to the conversation was we have a Facebook page, and there's a lot of females that will reach out and say, I'm moving and I'm looking for a job in the HVAC industry, or I'm a technician, I'm looking for a job in the HVAC industry. So we also have that resource where we'll help women find jobs in the HVAC. And so if you're looking for somebody, look into our Facebook page, join us, and you never know, you might be able to get, some employees from that as well. And I'll let Angie and Erica talk about our website.
Yeah, head on over to our LinkedIn page as well, because we do share a lot of opportunities there. But our website is, I'm just trying to see where this is, womeninhvacr.org. And when you head on over there, you can find all the resources that we've talked about today. You can learn a little bit more about our organization. We've been around for almost 20 years now, which is really exciting. And it's exciting to see how we've grown as an organization, and how, and you'll be able to find out about some of the initiatives that we have, such as a scholarship program, the mentorship program, and the ambassador program that we've talked about today. So yes, please head on over to the website and check us out.
Well, ladies, this is fantastic. I really hope this helps others understand about the great opportunities out there. And here's 3 successful professional veterans who are talking. Everyone, I hope you go visit womeninhvacr.org, learn a little bit more. Thank you very much for all of your time.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you, Howard.